Hello and welcome back to the Wheel Talk podcast. My name is Abby Mickey and I'm here with friends to talk about women's professional road cycling. Today we've got transfers. We've got a little bit of Worlds update. We've got the Simac Ladies Tour, a little bit of Ardèche. With me today, Loren Rowney.
Yes, number one. It's good to be back with my friends.
Gracie Elvin.
I love that. Yes. Hello, and I apologize for my horrible nasally voice. Sick again. I thought I was through the daycare bugs, but no, they continue.
Classic. Classic kids. And Georgie Howe.
I thought that like a cycling season as a cyclist is really long, but then when you get into media and then you get to September, you're like, wow, I'm tired.
That's because when you're a cyclist, you get a mid-season break.
Yeah, we do every race. No rider does every race.
No,
Yeah, this is true.
some do. But I'm looking forward to the Wild West of off season where we can do some really cool content.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and we also don't get an off season.
But we get to do some like rogue
keep
stuff.
coming up with stories. Yeah. No, it'll be fun. We'll dive back into our interviews and stuff like that. It'll be really great. I always love the little like side quests of the off season. But still a ways to go until then. We had the last women's world tour race on European soil last week, the Simac Ladies Tour, which is going to be fascinating to talk about. We've got 2 more women's world tour races coming up in China, but before then we have the World Championships, which means that we are deep in the World Championships prep at the moment with the rest of the riders. But before we get to racing, we do have some news to cover. Can I go? No, I can't say new news because that's obviously taken by the Kelsey brothers, but I just had the urge to say it.
I do like that segment.
Yeah, new news.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to come up with our own news type.
We need more. Like, I want to put in a petition to have more catchphrases in this podcast.
I think we should. Have
Yeah.
segment titles.
We could do with a tiny bit more structure, just putting it out there.
This is constructive feedback from the pod
From
crew.
us to us.
Yeah.
This is live constructive feedback for me.
This is a live
because
retrospective. I can is that such a thing?
I feel a little bit attacked. No, Georgie sent me, I was on the Black Sheep podcast and Georgie sent me the run sheet and I was like, wow, this is professional.
Yeah, until
versus
my tech didn't work and I had to sit silently, very uncomfortably because my tech wasn't working. So it was just Sheridan and Abby talking and I was writing comments in the chat.
Oh,
That
God.
neither of us, I think, we're looking at.
Yeah, those two are like, you talk about like a podcast universe collaboration. Abby, Mickey, and Sheridan were bang on.
It was fun.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. All right, let's dive into transfer updates. We've got a couple transfers since last week worth mentioning. Uno X Mobility signed 2 Italians in Laura Tomasi and Alessia Vigilia, which is exciting. They're branching out in their the composition of their team. I didn't know that the men's team only signed like Norwegians and Danes.
Mm-hmm. I found that out this year when I was starting conversations with that team. So, yeah. No,
super
that's
interesting.
2 good signings. Good to have a few more Italians, spreading around.
I'm glad to see Laura Tomasi.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nadia Guntova, who was on Windspace, and she's Canadian. She's went through the Red Truck DNA pipeline and signed for Windspace for 1 season. She's signed to Live Alula Jaco for 2 years, which I find very exciting. She's super green to the European cycling scene, but I think she had a few impressive performances this year. So excited to see how that pans out for her.
Yeah, and just I think earlier, probably mid-season, we were talking about the depth of talent that's coming out of Canada at the moment. So a great signing for them. They're building quite the team over there for 2026 and beyond. And there's a couple of new signings also coming for that team that I know behind the scenes. So definitely stay tuned for that.
I just found out about a new UAE signing that I'm really excited about.
Like, I'm just not in the loop. And you drop, I'm just like the listener here. You guys drop these things in, and I'm just like sitting here being like, well, tell me, God damn it.
Yeah, Georgie, I don't know anything either, so if that makes you feel any better.
Slide it into the
Gracie.
DMs, Abby, so then we can give our reaction.
Abby's a gossip queen. Georgie, you're usually quite good with gossip, but this is a
That
different.
is a good signing.
That's a good
Ooh.
signing. Yep.
Sorry to the listeners who are going to have to wait until that comes out.
Great.
But I'm quite excited about it. I mean,
Yeah.
she's very, very talented. And I think that team has proved this year that they are a great environment to be a part of. I think everything, I was skeptical at first, mostly because of the title sponsor and the women's rights / like LGBTQ plus over there in that part of the world. But I'm pretty impressed with what I've heard from riders that are on the team that have been on other teams in the past, and how the women are treated, and also that the woman who runs the team is a woman.
She's amazing too.
Yeah.
Powerhouse of a
I've heard
woman.
like really nothing but good things about her, actually.
I could make a quippy comment, but I won't because it will anger a few people. I'll keep it under my hat.
You slide into the DMs. All right. One more new signing since we last recorded. Eva Van Acht to FDJ Suez. Yeah. I was pretty surprised.
What
to
are
see
they
that
up to
one.
now? 15 signings for next year, I think. Which means there's probably, we were discussing this last week if you missed that podcast, that we're trying to figure out for next year based on the fact that World Tour teams can only miss one race in the 2026 season and beyond. What size teams are we going to be seeing? And a team like FDJ Suez, we think will run around that 17 mark.
Where are they at now?
I think this is 15.
Yeah, so 2 more.
And I reckon what Abby said last week, 2 of the riders she thinks will get announced as re-signings.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Just on the FDJ Suez train, you guys see the Italian champ skin suit of Vittorio Guanzini at Simac? Looked very good.
I mean, I'm sure it was sick. They
It was
always
sick.
really do well with the.
Yeah. The tricolor skin suit is like on
Love it.
point. It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for more of the signings to come out, just because I like want to wrap my head around the kind of peloton we're going to have next year, and I do want to know if teams are going to up their numbers for next year. I think a lot of teams are with the new rule, and also with like, I mean, we know that there's more money coming into the sport, especially for those top teams, and I just really hope that the teams are distributing it in a good way where they have more availability for more numbers in the team, but not just like more young riders, like more overall riders. And I was talking to one of the riders recently about this, that like there are so many riders in the peloton that are like mid 20s that have so much potential, but there's the really hot thing to do now is to find the next big talent. And like teams like EF signed that triathlete midway through the season and took her to the Giro, and teams are like looking for riders that are young riders or like riders that are outside of the sport to be like the next Vollering, but they're missing out on a bunch of these mid-20s riders who have incredible potential. And so just hoping that some of them are picked up. And yeah, I know of a couple signings that I'm quite excited for, but I also know of a couple riders that are still without a contract that I really hope.
You said a couple of signings. You only gave us one.
Abby's going to have to, throughout the podcast, just slide them in the DM and get these random reactions from us. These oohs and ahs and no way.
No,
you know what we need in the structure of this podcast is we need more like jingles. So I'm going to reach out to Matt Deneve, who wrote our theme music, and see if he'll write us a couple of jingles, and then we can build our segments based on the jingles.
How good's
like
Minute
we
of
need like a
Madness needs
transfer
jingle.
jingle.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Matt's listening to this podcast right now. Matt, can you please write us some jingles? He's not busy enough as it is. All right, moving on to news. So probably the biggest news over the weekend is Lotte Kopecky will not defend her world championship title in Rwanda. She has opted to skip the Worlds this year based on, I think the statement said that she had thought she would be able to get her form in the right place in the weeks leading into Worlds after the tour, but she doesn't feel 100%, and so she's opted to skip it. And I think, honestly, like mentally, I think it's a good call for her. She's been under enough pressure. There's been enough on her in the last year. from the media and others. And I think, skipping Worlds is probably not a bad call.
Wasn't there like the statement that she said that it was more mental than it was physical?
Yeah, it was the coach.
The team coach, the Belgian team coach said that.
Yeah. So, and like, look, she does actually coach herself. So, I mean, she's run into a few brick walls this year with like, not literally, that would be bad, but she's like figuratively speaking, she's kind of run into some blockers with her form this year. And because she is self-coached, I imagine that would be very lonely and mentally draining. So it's been a long season, so I hope she can recoup quickly. I just don't know like how like you guys like we've all ridden pro. Like I don't know how I could have taken the mental strain of my own programming on top of the stress of racing as well.
Oh my God, I can't even do it now when I'm trying to train for a marathon. I've hired myself a coach because I'm like, I don't want to, that's something I don't want to think about. I'm going to let someone else think about that.
It depends who you are and where you are in your career. Like, I think, and of course your knowledge base. Like Lizzie Deignan studied physiology and coaching at a tertiary level, and so she had a really great base of knowledge. As far as I can tell, she's got some good self-awareness and self-confidence and a whole lot of grounding that really would have helped someone like her do it relatively easily. I'm sure she had some moments. Like throughout my career, I always thought that was a dumb idea. Definitely not in relation to her, but just generally that an athlete shouldn't do that. And then actually at the end of my career, I decided to do it because, long story short, for some personal reasons, I just could not face forming another relationship at that time in my life, because a coaching relationship it's a proper relationship that you need to work on and form to be a successful kind of collaborative effort. And I just didn't have that capacity emotionally at the time. And I was able to coach myself with the permission of my team. They oversaw my programming and just made sure I wasn't completely screwing it up. But, I thought I did quite a good job. And then COVID happened. So I didn't really get to live it out as long as I'd hoped. And I really wish that I'd done it for longer, because I was actually starting to really enjoy it. But that was only because I was really getting to know myself at that point. I'd been an athlete for a really long time. I've also studied it at a tertiary level, and I've got some other good background experience in those kind of areas. So, like, it's definitely not for everyone, but it can be done well. Just like I said, depending on the person and the circumstances.
I think where what I saw with Lotta was it would like when things aren't going well, and then you really just have yourself to look to.
Totally.
Like
I
you
think
don't
that'd be
like
super hard.
yeah, like there's no sounding. I feel like when I have performance issues, having the coach as a sounding board is helpful.
Yeah.
But like yeah, when you've just got yourself, imagine that would be wholly frustrating and demoralizing at times as well.
Yeah, and she strikes me as someone who has, like, in terms of a really, really tight-knit community, it's small with Lotta. She's comes across as a super private person, and I don't know who her coach was before. I do wonder if like Belgian cycling oversees her program. You would assume the team does, because now that the way that World Tour teams are structured is there is a whole performance team. So you have the performance manager that oversees everything. So no doubt their team coach is also looking into it. But yeah, I think more to your point, it's probably in those bad moments. She's had a really tough season that it would be hard to try and figure out what's not working. And maybe it is just, in fact, the mental side of things. Like, she's had a lot of stuff happen in the past couple of years, and maybe that's a piece of the puzzle too.
I mean, she's had a massive couple of years, and with that much success comes its own, like, a special lens from the rest of the world. And I feel like it would take a really, really, really outrageous person to not have that affect you mentally. And especially because, like, we talk about like the Lotte Kopecky effect in Belgium and in Belgian cycling, and more women joining cycling because of Lotte Kopecky. Like, there's so much on her at all times, and it's it's a lot for one person to deal with, especially if they're coaching themselves.
Yeah, and the
Totally.
media here is ruthless. I think it's like
Yeah.
Australia, like they're just unforgiving. When you have that lens on you and you're not performing to the standard of what the country and the media think, then it can be really brutal. And chatting to her at the tour, her biggest frustration was like why they kept asking the same question, because she wasn't good. She wasn't at the level that she expected of herself at that race. And that's all she said is, I'm not where I'm meant to be. And that gets tiresome.
Then we've got Lotta, who's taking time off to have a bit of to start her off season, which I think is really mature and smart. And not to say that this person isn't mature and smart, but it is interesting that Pauline Ferrand-Prévot is coming back to race Worlds after saying she wouldn't be doing that. I think we may have discussed this last week, but it's just an interesting contrast between those two riders. Pauline obviously put her body through an immense amount of strain, and it was to get into peak form for the tour. So it'll be interesting to see how she backs it up in Rwanda. Yeah, I just find that the two champions and two different approaches to Worlds in Rwanda. What do you guys think?
Oh, I think with Pauline coming off that huge win, and it was a dominant performance, the Tour de France Femme avec Zwift. I think when that race finished, it was 2 months basically to the start of Worlds. I don't know. I think after that race, she probably had a little break, and then her performance team, they all sat down, I would say, and looked at Rwanda and would have discussed whether it was realistic. She doesn't have that many race days under her belt this year. But to your point, Georgie, she was so hyper-focused on that one event, and, she honed in her training and everything just for the Tour de France. From like what we've seen with male pros before with the Tour de France, she did a similar approach to then turn it around and come back for Worlds. I'm guessing for a more classic style race, the training and all of that around it would have to change, right? Because she's got to adapt her body to those efforts. And they're saying that it's a really, really hard course. But I'm thinking it's like a course for a really strong Liana Lippert.
Yeah, I think it's not really like a pure climbers course, but it's also at altitude. And I think based on her training for the tour and how she prepared for the tour, and also where she lives down the hill from me. I keep seeing her out training. She has incredible hair.
Yeah, she does.
It's insane how much hair she has.
I always think of how much that would weigh.
Yeah, I was thinking that at the tour.
She's
I was
so
like,
small,
man,
compared to her body size,
half a
imagine
kilo.
If she'd
especially
cut
if it's
off
heavy
her
and sweaty.
hair,
Yeah.
How much lighter she would be.
I'm sure that's been done before. No.
Oh yeah,
100%.
Katrina Garfoot did that.
Yeah.
For the Olympics, she was every gram counts, and so she cut all of her hair off and just did it herself, and it was horrendous.
There was some lightweight rowers would do that around race season. Sorry, we've lost Loren. She's gone.
I'm having flashbacks to 2016.
It's also the most aerodynamic if you're bald.
Yeah, 100%. I mean,
that or the braid. At least Pauline has this incredibly thick, long hair, but she does the most aerodynamic hairstyle, which is the braid, and they've tested it in a wind tunnel. This was back in the Specialized Lululemon days that they did this test, wind tunnel testing of hair aerodynamics.
Yeah, but did they do aerodynamics? But the aerodynamic of a mullet, has anyone done that?
Did
Not only was it style, not only was it aerodynamic, in my opinion, has not been tested, so caveat there. But it was also fantastic for sun protection because, the back of my neck was always protected. It was fantastic.
Yeah, it's like a permanent Legionnaire's hat.
Exactly right. A Legionnaire's hat that never leaves my head.
Guys, just envision Pauline with a mullet.
Yeah, let's do it. I mean, she's a style icon. I mean, she needs to.
Do you know that a mullet is the perfect hairstyle to match her neck tattoo, though?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very true.
I think she just doesn't even know what she's missing out on. But back to your point, Georgie, I think
that's a segue and a half. I love it.
I think that it's yeah, I think that it's fine that she's going to Worlds. Like she doesn't have really anything to lose. I'm glad that Kopeki's pulled out because she's really suffered a lot this year, and I would hate to see her just bang her head against the wall again. And I think she just needs to recoup and focus on the next season because she's still a winner. She just needs a rest and a mental rest, probably more than anything. But Pauline, she's still on a high. She's won Roubaix, she's won the Tour. She's very capable of winning worlds, and if she doesn't, it doesn't matter. Like she still had a great year. So, like, barring a bad crash, which I really hope doesn't happen to anyone, like I don't think it's a waste of her time and effort to go to worlds.
Agreed. And imagine if she does win and she
Oh my
won
gosh.
Paris-Roubaix, the Tour, and Worlds all in the same year, where with like, well, I mean, I haven't counted her race days, but she's got to have like 20 or something like that would be insane.
Well, it's
Yeah,
one
That'd be
way to top
so
the
nuts.
the first trio of wins that she had, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Man, Visma. When we do our recap at the end of the season, what a year.
Seriously, yeah, we're gonna do a big episode about like teams and what they achieved and what they didn't, and Visma will be, I think, at the top of the, which is wild considering
weird.
how the team was functioning just a couple years ago. All right, we'll talk more about Worlds in a week or so. We'll do a big preview episode, talk about the course and the start list once we kind of know what it is. I saw also Marianne Vos out training today, and I was with my daughter, and I stopped her and I was like, Lila, look, there's the best cyclist of all time. And Lila was like, not
Daddy is, mummy.
yeah. Then like as I was trying to get her to look at Boss, a bunch of dudes rode by the other way and she was like, who are they? And I was like, they don't matter. So the Maryland Cycling Classic was on Saturday, the first edition of the Maryland Cycling Classic. It's a lower level UCI race, but it's so great to see some World Tour teams over in the US. For racing, it's been quite some time since that's happened. Came down to the break and was won by Agnieszka Skalniak-Soika, with Allison Jackson taking second. Near win for Allison Jackson, which would have been a huge win for EF on home soil and also for Allison. But yeah, I think I was surprised that Trek didn't go over there, but they have a lot of riders that are targeting Worlds, I think, so they opted to not send a team. Also, in American racing, Kristen Faulkner has ended her season early due to a shoulder surgery after an injury sustained at one of her many crashes at the Tour de France Femmes avec Swift.
Another rider, I think, who after the back of such an incredible 2024, hasn't had probably the season that she would have wanted. So hit the reset button.
No. And I think like she's, as we reported on at the tour, like there are some other probably health things going on where maybe some rest will do her good. So I'm glad I think I'm like, this is a bit of a theme of this episode. I'm just glad that we're at a phase in this sport where riders can like listen to their bodies and take the time that their bodies need to rest and recover, because this sport is too, and I'm going to swear, so sorry, Mum, but this sport is too fucking hard to not listen to your body and what it needs.
A little bit of good news, I think. SBS has paid to keep free-to-air coverage of the Tour de France Femmes avec Swift through at least 2030 for the Aussies.
That's huge. Really big.
Great news. I think they love being the home of cycling in Australia, and obviously I'm biased because I get to provide some of that coverage as a contractor to them, but I feel like we do cycling justice in Australia, so yeah, I'm super excited that they've been able to negotiate a contract for the next 5 years as well. So that includes the men's tour as well as the women's tour and a bunch of other races as well. But I'm sure you can go read all about that on the SBS website. But, you know, in this day and age of free to air, it's not really a thing anymore. And it's really tough to watch cycling in lots of countries. So yeah, I think that's actually a great point. So thank you for bringing that up, Abby. Hopefully we can see more cycling in Australia in cheaper ways, but at least SBS tries to provide the bulk of it.
They do a great job of it too.
I haven't been to the men's Tour de France, like at the capacity that I've been to the women's. But you guys really deliver there. Like the SBS crew is the best on the ground. And that's not me but it's not just Aussie bias.
Besides Escape.
No,
Come
but
on.
we're
No,
not
they're way
television.
better than
We're not
us.
television.
They're way better than us.
They do offer fantastic
cancel me.
chat in the mosh. Yeah, they do offer fantastic in the when we're getting into the mosh, when the riders are coming in, they offer fantastic chat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The content you put out, it's great. So I'm really happy to see this. And yeah, between SBS and I'm personally enjoying, because in Europe, of course, I'm enjoying the commentary team that they've been building over at, is TNT the correct
Yeah.
word?
I think
Yeah.
so.
They've got some good
Acronym word?
yes. TNT. What does it stand for?
Don't know. Like many good acronyms, we don't know.
I mean, I know what it stands for in my head, but it's not correct. Taylor and Travis's like pet name, TNT Dynamite.
What is it? What is it? TNT.
Oh, I love that
TNT.
everything is Taylor related for you. It's great.
Dynamite. TNT. Right, got you. It went straight over the head.
No, I enjoy their cruise as well because like if I can't watch SBS, I'll be watching the TNT crew one way or another. I found a good way. If anyone who wants to know in Australia, hit me up. I love the crew that they get. I like that it's mixed. There's a few regulars, but they do mix it up.
I was just like so thrilled to hear Rebecca Charlton commentating all of Simac Ladies Tour.
Yeah, she's gotten a few gigs,
she did a great job.
a few more gigs this year, huh?
Yeah, she's good.
She did love the word resplendent.
Yeah. Yes.
I love listening to her because it sounds like she's always wearing a smile. I need to learn how to do that.
She is though.
You just know that she is.
Yeah, she is.
Makes me feel good. So,
She's a really beautiful
thanks.
person.
Yeah, one of my favorite people. I'm bummed she can't be on the podcast anymore. She's got other podcast ties, so we miss her over here.
Yeah.
We miss you, Rebecca, if you're listening.
You better be listening.
With that good news, or else with that good news behind us, just one tiny bit that was brought to my attention over the weekend that made me go grr, is that the Paris-Roubaix Femme Swift, the men's and women's races will be on the same day in 2026.
Oh, I missed that bit of news. How did I miss that?
I don't know, because the calendar has been out for a while, but I don't know if people just like missed that they were on a different day, or this is a new bit of news that happened over the weekend that
How are they going to
decided
manage that?
combine them. I don't know, because one person pointed out in the Discord channel, the Wheel Talk Discord channel, that if there's bad weather, that will be really, really horrible for the race that is second.
Yes.
100%, because everything's going to get churned up.
So yeah.
And I would imagine, yeah. And so, yeah, okay.
Yeah. And I mean, just in terms of like for our jobs and coverage, and when it comes to the women having a spotlight, it's just, in my opinion, it's a step backwards, because it's so important that the women have like their faces plastered all over the site for the day, and that just can't happen if both races are happening at the same time. Like we saw, like for Flanders, for example, you have a split team covering the men's race and the women's race, and the women's race ends second, but you still have men's stories pouring in, and there's only so much that one person can cover when it comes to a race, and when you have like a 4-person team on the men's race. So it's like, just for me, I was just like really gutted to see that I will be, as a journalist, I'll be competing with getting like the women's stories churned out for one day when the men's race is happening at the same time. It's not so easy.
No, I'm just thinking the decision must have come from the ASO, and like I know on Saturday it's a really nice day. I've been to three Paris-Roubaix, I think. a lot of the riders get to do the Grand Fondo before the women's race, and then most of the people stick around. Yeah, it's nice to do the combination as well, and also for sponsors, because a lot of sponsors go to that race and do like a sponsor event around it. So I wonder how they'll split that if it's on both days, because usually it's this big event over the whole weekend. So I'm just thinking outside of the racing itself, how it's an important event for that.
Yeah, I mean, you raise a good point, Lauren. I mean, we talked about this a heap at the tour, like how they need to start elevating each race as its own little business, and it's really difficult to do that, to elevate women's cycling as its own little business when it's kind of wrapped into the men's product at the same time. So if it's like I think Zwift is the principal sponsor for Paris-Roubaix for the Femme avec. It's Paris-Roubaix Femme avec Zwift. So it's like, okay, where is Zwift's presence going to be if it's wrapped up in the men's race as well?
Yeah. And I'm really curious why this decision was made. I imagine part of it is costs, like having to close the roads down for the race 2 days in a row is probably not so easy. It's maybe more cost effective for ASO to have the races closed only on the Sunday, especially if they have like the Grand Fondo going on as well. But you'd think with the success that they had with the women's race being its own standalone event the day before, that they would have kept doing that in the future.
Yeah, I think I'm going to lose my VIP spot. Damn it.
Yeah. It's going to be a lot harder for us to cover the race.
I'm going to have to raise my status points.
But I will be there next year, Loren.
You will
be there. I have missed every Paris-Roubaix Femme.
Oh, it's so much fun. Honestly, it's such a great event. And that's the other thing I like is, okay, I'm talking about the VIP, but it's just like all the people and love from, it's like a mini version of the Tour de France Femme, Georgie.
Yeah, you get to meet up for a day with like all the people, and
it's like, but this is what most races need to be. They need to be opportunities for collaboration within the industry. And so like, yeah, I hope we see more of it, but it's really difficult when the women don't have their own stage, because a men's race is a complete. I mean, even from like a fan experience as well, it's a completely different product to the women's race, and so it's very difficult to then separate the two if they're lumped in.
Yeah, and I think like if there's an argument for having more fans on the ground at the women's race because it's on the same day as the men's, I think that they're missing out on like a huge boost for next year's Paris-Roubaix based on how many people were at the tour this year.
100%.
How much the sport is growing.
100%. They're missing out on like targeting a specific fan segment. Like, it's like, okay, we can really hone in on this, like, this momentum that we got from the Tour de France Femme avec Zwift in 2025 with the French champion, a French female champion, and like also a former champion of Paris-Roubaix Femme avec Zwift. So like, they can really tap into the zeitgeist there with that messaging, but it's really difficult now.
All right, moving on to racing. We got the Simac Ladies Tour was over the week, and honestly, I don't think we have a ton to say about the Simac Ladies Tour because there's only so many headlines you can write about Lorena Wiebes winning in a sprint. Lorena Wiebes won 5 of the 6 stages, every single road stage. The time trial stage was won by Zoe Backstead. It was a really great win for her, and she's had a lot of success at the Simac Ladies Tour in the past. She finished on the podium last year. She's won the youth classification the last 3 years and won it again this year. But yeah, Lorena Wiebes was absolutely on fire at the Simac Ladies Tour, winning 5 of the 6 stages. And the third stage was an interesting one with some crosswinds and some well strategically placed riders. It came down to a group of 17 with a 7-minute 45-second gap on the peloton. So in the end, the general classification would have come down to that group, but really all the top sprinters made it into that selection, and Wiebes won the overall by 54 seconds over Elisa Balsama, with Megan Jastrab coming second, 1 minute and 1 second down. She was on the same time as Zoe Backstead, but finished ahead of her on the stage. So she ended up finishing on the podium of the race. And yeah, I mean, I think like there's just only so many times we can have the conversation of like, how do you beat Lorena Wiebes? Because it was even the stage that was the like quote closest to someone beating Wiebes was still half a bike length or half a human length ahead, and that was against Chiara Consoni on the fourth stage. I like can't even get them straight because it was just Wiebes. I was really having a lot of fun with the headlines when I was writing the little race reports. One time I wrote, "This is getting ridiculous," but then I
like all credit to Lorena Wiebes, an absolutely incredible athlete, and don't want to take anything away from her. I was just so frustrated at everyone else because it's not close. She's literally wiping the floor with almost every sprint she does. It's not like, oh, I nearly got her, we're going to try again. Like, it's just, there's none of that at the moment. Like, the gap is just so big whenever she launches that I'm just like, I feel bad for these other sprinters because I've definitely said on this podcast in the past, you have to back yourself, you have to keep trying, you have to keep learning, you have to keep seeing finishes if you want to be a sprinter. And I still definitely hold to that. But at the moment, she's winning by so much that they do have to start thinking of what their other strategies are. I think that they should give their sprinters some opportunities to keep seeing finishes and to keep getting that experience. But I think that they still need to come up with some different plans in the meantime because like there just was hardly any attacks this week, and that was driving me crazy of just being like, okay, there's a bunch of sprinters here. Of course they want a shot at sprinting, but like they've got other teammates in this group, so why don't they just make it interesting and just hedge their bets, even though that's not usually the best tactic. It's still a better tactic than just waiting for the sprint in this situation. And then, of course, there was a few riders there for GC, so they wanted to keep working, so they were literally just riding Lorena to the finish, to the win, which, of course, that's a kind of different play, but they're entitled to that. But it was just like, oh, they just need to make her work harder. They need to make SD Works work harder. What are
Do you
they
feel like
doing?
the goalpost is like moved that, okay, if Wiebes is there at this point, I don't know, what is she up to? 112, 14 wins now. Yeah, the goalpost has moved. So it's like for athletes like Megan Jastrab, what a tour that she had, actually. It's so great to see her racing well and having like a red hot crack at the sprint. And Ninka Veenhoven, young riders who are still honing in on those talents. Like it's good to see them have those opportunities. So I wonder, like, to run second or third for those athletes must feel like steps forward in terms of their sprinting abilities and what the future holds for them within this sort of what would you say, classification of a rider as a sprinter. But for riders like Consoni, who is a well-established sprinter now, it's good to see Shari Bossart back in the mix as well. Like for them, it would just be pure frustration by this point because they're not going to these races to run second and third. They're going there to win.
And some of these riders that were in these groups, they needed more teammates there. That was another thing I was frustrated in as other races of the year. And in my mind, I'm thinking about the Tour de France Femme. Huge groups are making it over like hard climbs. And so the level is high physically in the peloton at the moment. But a small group is getting away on a flat race in crosswinds. And that tells me that the level of skill or the level of teamwork or coaching from the car even isn't as good as what the physical level is. Because if you see the physical level of hilly races and how many riders can make it through hard races nowadays versus what happened here at the Simac Ladies Tour on relatively flat stages with a little bit of crosswind, those groups shouldn't have been that small if you're looking at people's numbers. And so, of course, it's the end of the season. People are a bit tapped out, they're tired, but like that also shouldn't be happening. There should have been a bigger number of better quality riders in those front groups.
Yeah, it's a really good point. Yeah, like it's you're right. I think there's a multitude of factors, as you say. It's like fatigue, instruction from the car, etc. I also think like this race is always cooked because you've been on like lovely wide Grand Tour-esque roads for 3 months, and then all of a sudden you're thrown back into the Netherlands and Belgium, into the hecticness of those like goat tracks and crosswinds. Um, and so I think it's always a bit of a crash fest as well. Like we saw heaps of really bad crashes and bad injuries as well. So shout out to Lizzie Holden and Pfeiffer Georgie on that one.
Yeah,
But
fight for Georgie, man. She's
yeah,
just
can't catch a break.
I was like just so gutted to see that. That
Yeah.
sucks.
But like I think that's also a factor. It's just the peloton's not used to those roads and those conditions, which is also not good enough because they're professional and they should be because it's their job. But yeah, I think it's a hard one. But I agree with you. Like broadly, I agree
wonder
with
if they moved the Simac Ladies Tour like into the spring when the peloton is like in the like in the mindset of racing roads like in Belgium and the Netherlands, and the level of like riders that specifically would target something like the Simac Ladies Tour was higher because a lot of these riders who are racing the Simac Ladies Tour aren't going to, like, some of them won't go to Worlds. Like this is their season is basically over at this point. Or at least all the big targets. Because with the hilliness of Worlds, you're not really going to think like Elisa Balsamo is probably not going to contest the World Championships this year, I wouldn't imagine. And I don't think Wiebes was named to the team. I can't remember off the top of my head the Dutch team, but I'm almost positive that she's not on it. And so if they moved it into the spring, I think it would be a lot better race. But then it wouldn't be a farewell tour like for Ellen Van Dijk, who finished third in the time trial. Obviously, she would have wanted to take that win, but it was really cool to see her ride across the line on the final stage and getting pats on the back from other riders. And I was absolutely sobbing when the camera was on her with her son. And the last race for Sarah Roy, who got a moment on the podium as well to wave goodbye. So it's become kind of like a interesting final race for a lot of riders and in that way. But yeah, I think there are so many ways that I want to see the calendar change, and maybe CMAC moving is one of them.
Yeah, because it has the potential to be a great race, but I just think mentally everyone's checked out. Like, I mean, you get to Gracie's point, you get to the crosswinds hit. Oh, if you really you can't half-ass an echelon. You just get spat. And I think too many were just in that like, I just really can't.
I think it's just changed a lot. And again, I can only speak from my experience 10 years ago, but I always found I loved the races at the back end of the season because mostly speaking, the really top riders in the team were usually pretty cooked mentally by then. And it was like they just wanted to get to Worlds and do well at Worlds. And if you had been a rider who was mostly a domestique and working for the team, which is great, the opportunities usually came in the back end of the season. So this was always a race that if you went into it with good form and motivation, you could have a good result. And speaking of Sarah Roy, that's where she got her first World Tour win in 2016 was at this race, and Roy had raced that year. She was pretty disappointed about, I think, the Olympics that season. She'd had a good season, had some opportunities herself, but it was really at that race that she showed herself and what she was really capable of. So I don't know, moving forwards, maybe if the teams get a little bit bigger, we can see more quality racing. I don't know if that's the right word.
Yeah, because it just takes the load off, right? These guys are cooked. We looked at race days last week. Massive.
And it's hard racing, right?
Yeah, I think like the riders are cooked. Like the race days are massive. The intensity is huge. So yeah, we know what the solution is. It's just more money.
More money.
More industry events, please, at races.
Yeah, well, actually, it's not a bad shout. It is really not a bad shout. Like, yeah, wine and dine.
Hey,
like,
I was thinking of
investors.
sponsorship models, and like I was telling the girls offline what I did on the weekend, and I went to a football match here in Belgium, my first ever. And the reason I went was for a team in like Division 3, so nothing really big. But just how they bring all their sponsors in throughout the season for different events, and like you're a VIP and then you can bring in, I don't know, you get X amount of tickets, and it's like they make this big fuss around the game. And we're talking about a team that wasn't that good and the players aren't the highest level, like not world tour, if we compare the level of the football game I went to. But I was thinking, oh wow, this is the wining and dining and getting these people to invest in it and feel like they're a part of something. And
Yeah, it's definitely that. And then there's also like thinking about like different ways to consume the media. Like I don't know if you guys saw, but like the Bundesliga, which is like a the German men's soccer league, they've just signed a new broadcast deal with like BBC and a few other people. But like the most like transformational part of this deal is that they've signed a broadcast deal with a podcast, and it's literally like a goggle box where like, so for instance, think about this, where all of us are on screen and we get basically they're filming the screen with like the up in the top left or right corner, there's the race going on, and it's just filming the reaction to the race.
we pitched
People
this
aren't-
years ago.
Yeah, well, this is a legit
Abby and I.
format for people consuming races now and like in games. So like this is now it's the first of its kind that like
Yeah.
it's a broadcast deal with a podcast host to broadcast soccer matches. And it's so I think like as a sport we need to think about new sponsorship models, but we also need to think about creative ways to consume the sport, because it's really difficult for people to sit down for 3 hours of their day and watch a bike race without when they don't actually know much about cycling. But it's really easy for someone to, I don't know anything about football, but I'm intrigued to like watch
Yeah,
this
I
guy
agree with you.
live react to this game.
But it's like NFL games. Like, yeah, if you've ever been to one, the atmosphere around an NFL game is because you're there at the match with all the fans, or if you're hosting a party at home, there's everything else going around it. So I could
Yeah, but
see like
if you have, and if you've got if you've got a semblance of a personality and some kind of charisma and good chat, you can make it really fun. So I think it's yeah. I'm sorry, I'm tired. That's why my brain kind of connected those dots, and it probably wasn't a smooth connection. Wasn't as smooth as Gracie's segue earlier, but you know, I try.
maybe that could be a format that works for the races that are, I don't know, point ones or something
Well,
like that to
imagine,
get more
I mean,
eyes.
like,
Like
yeah, I mean, I
Simac.
wouldn't say that CMAC is a lower level race. I mean, it's a world tour race, but it is a race that like doesn't get huge amounts of viewership, I'd imagine. So like, imagine,
Not all world tour races are created equal.
yeah, exactly. So it's like, imagine that. But like also imagine Roubaix with that.
Yeah, I'd love that.
I mean, that was like part of the Hammer series that Velon tried to introduce, was like shorter, snappier racing that, you know, you could consume more easily. And
You don't,
they
but you don't
had
need to.
a lot of issues with that. But like,
Yeah, you don't need to change the racing format. It's just like, okay, maybe there's like a live commentary of the last like 50K, which is actually the only part of the bike race that broadcast deals want to show for women.
If we had an
anyway, so it's fine.
Instagram, I'd run a poll.
Yeah, well, you know,
damn
we
it,
can.
Lauren. We're working on it.
We're working on it.
All right. Well, I think we can kind of wrap it up a little bit. We've got some good racing. There's no World Tour racing for a bit now as we work our way through the World Championships, but we still have a lot of good racing on this week. We have the Mountain Bike World Championships on this week. The marathon was already on Saturday, and shout out to Kate Courtney for that incredible victory at the Marathon Mountain Bike Worlds. And Ardèche is this week, which should be pretty interesting. We'll talk about it, Georgie. We'll talk about it. There are some big names showing up to Ardèche. Usually this race has some a fantastic start list, and I think this year will be no different. We have a couple hilly stages. There's 3 pretty hilly stages 3, 5, and 6. And last year there was pretty decent live coverage of this race as well. So I think it's one to keep an eye on. And so far, there's only a couple teams that have put out their rosters, but there was rumors that Kopecky would be on the start list. I'm curious if those rumors are true. I don't think that now that she's decided she's racing Worlds, I don't think that Pauline Ferrand-Prévot is racing Ardèche anymore. At least she's not on the provisional start list. But one of the things we have to talk about, since we've got Georgie here, is the time trial.
Hey, time trial time. I was so excited. First of all, let's just unpack the start list because Lotte Kopecky is on this start list.
Yeah, okay. So cool. So Lotte Kopecky, Misha Bredewald, that's a good one.
Yep. So they're the only two riders from SD Works, but really that's like
Lorda Shepherd, that's a good one to
Yep.
keep an eye on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Still a lot of teams to be announced, and as always at this race we have like Canyon SRAM has opted to send the Generation team versus their World Tour team, but like FDJ will be there, obviously. SD Works, Bismillah, Spike,
Liverlula Jayco is going, and like I know
Jayco,
yeah, Ruby Rosamund Gannon's racing for them, so this will be a good race for her. But like, and heading into Worlds as well, she's racing Worlds, so there's some riders will be using this as prep. But the TT, can I go into it?
Yeah, hit us with it. This could be, do you want this to be your minute of madness, or do you want it to just be like madness?
I mean, like, look, this can just be madness because I've been very tired. The listeners will, just keep an eye on Escape Collective because I've been working on a really juicy piece alongside Abby that should be coming out soon. So my brain's a bit full for like I don't have those fast twitch muscle fibers ready to go for my minute of madness. So just give me some like a diesel engine madness. I'll just ramble.
Okay, go for it.
All right, so we got this is the stage 4 of Ardèche, starting in Vals-les-Bains. The riders will tackle, which is I'm really excited about, 20 kilometers with almost 300 meters of vertical. Straight out of the gate, they go uphill, averaging at about like 6-7% for 3Ks. Then it flattens out a bit, then they go up again for another 1,500 meters. Before it's like up and down, up and down. This is like tight, twisty roads as well. And then they've got a bombing descent, which is actually really technical for about 6 kilometers. And then they hit the valley road right back into the start finish line. So it's a reasonably technical race. I don't know what they're going to be doing in terms of tech. There's not a whole lot of flat. So I am interested to see what bikes we see, if we see actually any TT bikes, because it is that uphill part is going to be the majority of the time spent on the race. The final 10Ks will be done in a blink. So road bike, TT bike, I don't think it will make that much of a difference. But so it's going to be really interesting. Like I said, that first climb is actually really technical. So yeah, I don't know how. You'll probably be going like between 17 and 20 Ks an hour, which does offer aero benefit if you're in the skis, but to what end? And then you also want the control of a road bike on the technical descent as well. So really interesting on many levels. One of the longer TTs we've seen this year. So really happy to see that. But yeah, I'll be interested to see what tech people are riding and how they attack it. It'll definitely be a positive split TT. So most of the power will be being laid down in the first 10K. And then after that, you're pretty much freewheeling.
Also very scenic based on the photos.
Yeah, it's beautiful. They're going to take it all in. A lot of the teams haven't been announced yet, right? Like I'm thinking the Netherlands. Have we seen anything from them? Like
this isn't Worlds. This isn't
I know,
Worlds.
but I'm just thinking ahead to the two Worlds, actually.
Yeah,
like,
Worlds,
who are the big dogs?
The Dutch team has been announced for Worlds,
okay.
And I wrote about it in the newsletter last week. For the Dutch team, for the road race, it's Vollering, Van der Breggen, Van Anrooy, Yara Kastelein, Paulina Verrekas, and Marianne Vos. And I think for the time trial, it's Van der Breggen and Vollering.
Okay, yeah. All right. I feel this year for the TT, it's like there's no clear favorite, right?
I mean, I think Reusser will be the favorite if she is racing it. And the Swiss team hasn't been announced yet, and obviously she's not been seen since she abandoned the tour. But that's still up in the air right now for the TT. The only starters we have are Van der Breggen and Vollering, Kasia Nieuwedoma, Ruth Edwards, and Chloe Dijkert. which is
Or
obviously a
Daiget.
favorite.
That's a favorite.
And Brody Chapman, Martha Goossens for Belgium, Anna Kiesenhofer for Austria, Cedrine Kerbal and Juliette Lebus for France.
It's gonna be an exciting one.
Yeah. I mean, this year's Worlds is going to be, the course is crazy, the travel is crazy, the prep is crazy. So it's going to be just like a wild, wild event.
Guys, save it for the pod. We will do a World's
In 2 weeks.
pre-pod.
Yes. You sound like Abby. Save it. I just want to say I'm looking forward to Ardèche for the first time since Roundy 1. So we have a stage winner here amongst us. But I
yeah.
reckon it's going to be off shops this year.
Yeah.
Ardèche was the home of one of my favorite moments of my entire career as well.
Descending with Cassie and Uedoma.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome. I've told that story on the podcast before. It was so great.
I mean, that's a great moment. I've never had one of those moments, I don't think. No.
The best part was that she was just like, "What are you doing on my wheel?" Except like in a friendly way, because we trained together that year a lot. But yeah. Anyway, we can talk more about Ardèche next week because I'm sure that there will be a lot to discuss after it's done and dusted. Right now, we'll wrap it up with some obsessions. Does anyone want to start?
I can start with a boring one. I'm obsessed with the New York Times puzzle app because
Ooh, nice.
I just love
That's a good one.
puzzles. I love all of them. I'm particularly partial to a good crossword, a long crossword, because I just find it very mindful. And when I'm a bit stressed, I do a crossword because that's all I think about. And it's just nice to switch off.
My mom and I do the mini every morning. We race each other.
Yeah, like the mini.
The mini is great.
Although I'm going to say I do put auto check on, so I do cheat a little bit.
Yeah. How do you, I don't think that's cheating. It's there for a
Okay.
reason. That was a good obsession. I like that.
That is a
What
good
about you two?
obsession. I need to do something more like that.
Mine's kind of boring, so I can go next. Mine is next to me.
Oh,
It's a
wow.
little herb garden.
So yeah, for the listeners, I got an indoor herb garden because there's never any dill at the grocery store in Andorra, so I'm really obsessed with it. And it's on the counter right now, so you kind of like come out every morning and check on it, and my daughter is just like really excited to always see that something is growing, and it's kind of insane how fast things grow in it. So that's my obsession right now.
Abby,
I
could
love
this be
that.
the
That's so
solution
cool.
to me not killing my herbs inside? Like, why
Possibly,
does my
because-
basil always die?
Basil?
I can't keep my basil alive.
Basil?
A friend of
Yeah.
mine went on a date with a guy called Basil the other day.
Oh. Was
I
he
feel like
British?
Basil is a great
And-
dog name, not a
little bit.
human name.
I don't know, but like Loren and Gracie, do you guys remember Basil Brush?
Oh my God, I'm so gonna name my next dog Dill.
Dill. That's a great basil and dill.
Yeah, Lila's pointing to it right now. It's a very exciting thing to have on the counter. But we left for 2 weeks, and you just fill the like thing with water, and it waters it for you, and nothing died. And we came back, and it had grown so much that I had to harvest all of it and start over because it was all like there was so much of it that it was just like falling all over the place. And I'll
Was
put
this like late night
photo in
Googling,
Discord.
Abby, that you found this contraption?
Yes,
Love it.
it was my birthday present from Tom's.
Oh,
Nice.
see, if I bought that, Hannes would be like, what is that? Why? But you're actually keeping your basil plants alive.
It's growing big.
It's growing bigger.
really big. Yeah.
Lauren, you go.
Obsession. Jeez. Oh, I don't know. I just had a really wholesome weekend. I think that's my obsession with the kids. We just did so many fun activities. Louis has been outgrowing his little plastic balance bike. So in Dutch it's called a rommelmarkt, which is kind of like a flea market. We picked up probably a fourth hand little balance bike for him. So he's a little bit small for the specialized one that Harry was given years ago. So we've picked him up another one. And that was sort of the obsession over the weekend was more bikes.
N+1. My obsession this week is just appreciation for my friends, to be honest, and the people in my life. So, life is precious. I think yeah, was given a bit of a stark reminder that how precious it really is, and how, yeah, everyone's really in your life temporarily, so you got to lap it up for as much as you can. So that's my obsession.
We appreciate you.
I appreciate you guys
Yeah, we do.
a lot.
All right. On that note, thanks everyone so much for listening. We will be back next week to talk about Ardèche and probably a little bit more about Worlds. And yeah, thank you guys for doing this podcast with me.
Thank you.
Love to be here.
This episode was produced, edited, and mixed by Will Jones at Red Bricks Media.